Hi guys, it's Sir Clem. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're going to take a look at the Tactical Tailor Malice V3 rucksack. I've used quite a few rucksacks over the years, and I have to say this might be my favorite, and it may be one of the best rucks that I have ever used for several reasons. It has an incredible amount of storage space. I believe it's very well built, and I like the way that it rides. It is probably the Cadillac, or one of the Cadillacs, of rucksacks in this category, but unfortunately, just like the Cadillacs, the cars, this one has a price tag to match, which is the reason I don't own one. I have to thank a friend who's very kind to loan this to me. Let's try it on. I'll show you a little bit about the straps and the adjustments, then we'll unpack it using the pillow standard. It does use the older aluminum Alice style frame. The straps itself on the shoulders are nothing to write home about. They have a decent amount of adjustment, but what is far more comfortable on any of the other rucks that I've used is this waist pad. This waist pad is very large and very thick, probably because the people who designed the bag assumed that you were going to be using the waist pad a lot. I don't, but that's just how I like to wear the bags. When I put it on at its loosest setting, you will notice that it actually does not adjust as far down as some of the other rucksacks. When you tighten it up to bring it up on your back, it can adjust down to be nice and snug. It has a decent amount of adjustment as well. In this chest strap, it could probably be worn over a plate carrier as long as the plate carrier was relatively slick. And the waist pad itself also has a decent amount of adjustment in it, depending on how round you might happen to be. I'd like to start unpacking the bag at the bottom. I really like the fact that Tactical Tailor has done the one thing that I have consistently griped about with rucksacks, and that's they put the bottom control straps separate from the top control straps. This means I can open and take things out of this bottom compartment without having to lose control of the top compartment or unstrap it. So this has been a constant complaint of mine, so I'm glad to see that they actually did it intelligently and keeping these two sets of straps separate. This bottom compartment does not, on this version of the bag, it does not have a zipper. I'm unaware if there's a newer version of the bag with a zipper, but anything you put in this bottom compartment will not be able to travel through to the top. This could be an advantage or disadvantage depending on what you want to do, but the one place I could see this being a drawback is if you had a very long item that you wanted to store completely inside the bag, that could be a potential drawback. But these three control straps actually connect all the way up under the bottom of the bag here, so if this part is empty, you're able to roll it up and run it flat to the bag to try to save yourself a little space. You can see when I was holding it on the bag, it does kind of hang about halfway down your thigh. Using the pillow standard to pack this bag, I actually had to kind of scramble for materials. And you'll notice some of the pouches are still empty. There is so much room in this bag, I ran out of stuff to put in here. Soft stuff like the pillows. The reason we use the pillow standard is because most of you probably have at least one pillow laying around your house, and it gives you a pretty good idea of how big of stuff that you can fit in here, as well as being a great way to make fun of officers, including the several times that I saw several of them with nothing but pillows in their rucksack. So, in the bottom part here, because I ran out of pillows, I have a sleeping pad, I have a travel blanket. This is kind of like the kind that you would get on an airplane. I have a mosquito net, and I have my 0-degree sleeping bag. I do not have this bag compressed because, again, I was trying to fill up space, but if I did use the compression straps and squish this thing down smaller, you could fit even more stuff in that bottom compartment. The one drawback, or the one gripe I have with this compartment, I think it is a smidge too narrow. I would have liked to have seen it maybe an inch and a half wider on both sides. I think that would have been perfect. On the inside of the bottom itself, there are no internal straps or connectors or anything, so if you put something in here, it's just going to be loose in the bag, so you need to have a secondary way of retaining it. Like I was mentioning, you can roll this up and clip it into the bottom, since all the way on the bottom here is where these straps are attached. If we go into the exterior pockets, there are different pockets on both sides of the bag. So these two central ones, on this side, you have smaller pouches, and then on this side you have one of the larger pouches. Again, like I said, I was running out of stuff to put in here, so you'll have to picture about how big this is. This would be the size of an uncompressed whoopee in the little whoopee sleeve. That would fit in here pretty nicely. Speaking of whoopies, if we open this top compartment, I'm able to fit an entire whoopee in here. And in the second compartment, I'm able to fit a second whoopee. The straps for the bags that are on the exterior vary. So in this case, we have a buckle. On the top, we have the zipper. On the sides over here, we alternate back and forth between zipper and buckle. I'm assuming they did that on purpose. I couldn't quite figure out why they would want to do that, but that is how they chose to arrange these attachments. In the first top pouch here, we can fit an MRE. This is not a compressed MRE, this is a sealed one, because the sealed ones have a certain amount that they collapse. So if you have a sealed MRE at home, you get an idea. One will fit in here, and another one will fit in here. Worth noting, different from the LBT bag, these do not have the drawstring closure to make them smaller. So these buckles are set at whatever size that mouth of that pouch is. You're unable to collapse it down smaller than that. And then in our last pouch, we're able to fit another full hole MRE. So it's roughly, for these smaller pouches, one MRE each. An entire whoopee will fit in these two bigger top ones. And then these smaller side pouches are the same as this one's on this side, one MRE each. And then a full uncompressed whoopee in this side pouch here. When we get into the bag, it has a top component, just like that LBT bag. This one does not attach. You can see it's one solid piece. You have a mat or hygiene compartment in the top, very thin sleeve right here. And then in the top pocket, I'm able to fit one travel pillow. The main portion of the bag itself has two drawstrings. It has the main one at the top, and then it has a second drawstring that runs around the bottom here if you want to snug the secondary portion of the bag. I think this is a little more typical for rucksacks. In here, we're able to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pillows. On the inside of the bag itself, there is no secondary compartment in here. So if you have a camelback or something else, you're not going to be able to hook it. Like the traditional bags will have like a little pouch where you can hook that camelback in. There's nothing in here. It is literally a smooth bag all the way around on the inside. It does have a partially rubberized component on the bottom to help keep those sharp objects that you might have from accidentally poking through the bottom. So, all in all, I do think this bag is incredibly well built. The material is very thick. I rather like the frame. I think it's pretty good. I'm more partial to the aluminum frames over the plastic frames, but I may change my opinion in time. I think this bag is great. My only two gripes with it being the width of this bottom pouch and the cost. I can't complain. So, I hope this review has helped with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.